Hi, I'm Sharon Tang and this is the evening highlights. Flamboyant billionaire Jolo won't be feeling the heat anytime soon as the Public Accounts Committee gears up to resume its probe into 1MDB. The PAC's new chairman says low isn't a priority, but the state fund's boss, Arul Kanda, now that's a different story. Datuk Hassan Arifin says Arul and all the personalities scheduled by the PAC's previous lineup before the cabinet shake-up will be hauled up before the committee.
We have discussed and kita telah meneliti rangka kerja yang diatur oleh pengurusi dulu dan kita akan meneruskanlah prosiding itu dengan memanggil mereka-mereka yang telah kita tetapkan untuk dipanggil seperti semua tahulah, iaitu siapa? CEO yang dululah. Arul lagi. Siapa lagi tu? Sharul, Azim dan pengurusi mereka lah.
Arul is the president of 1MDB, Datuk Shahrul Ibrahim Halmi is his predecessor, while Muhammad Hazim Abdul Rahman is also a former CEO of the fund. Detractors are saying if there's one thing that's dogging foreign investor sentiment, it's the 1MDB saga. But Datuk Sri Najib Razak says this is not the case. Najib, who's both the Prime Minister and Finance Minister, said in a written parliamentary reply this morning that the troubled state fund isn't a deterrent factor for foreign direct investment. He says stats show that investor sentiment hasn't been sagging. FDI, in fact, is still up, he says, totaling 22.4 billion in the first 6 months of the year. That's up from 17.5 billion in the second half of 2014. Najib says investments approved by MIDA also rose by 1.5 billion ringgit to 113.5 billion for the first half of 2015. These, he says, are investors who take into account Malaysia's overall economic development prospects, which include macroeconomic fundamentals like a low jobless rate, high national savings, and sufficient international reserves. Market watchers, including geopolitical intelligence firm Stratfor, have warned that the 1MDB fiasco, along with other economic stresses, could see Malaysia slipping into an environment of new uncertainties. If you look at the investments approved by MIDA, total investments were up, but FDI actually shrank by over 40% through the first half of the year. In the January to June period, FDI made up just 19% of the total Najib mentioned, compared with 33% recorded in the corresponding period in 2014. In the meantime, investors have reportedly sold over $4.5 billion in Malaysian stocks and bonds in the third quarter of 2015. While foreign reserves are down to 418 billion ringgit or $94.1 billion as of October 15th. That's the first time holdings have dropped below $100 billion since 2010. The currency, meanwhile, battered down as much as 27% against the US dollar this year. It hit a 9-year low in September at 4.457. It's now hovering at about 4.2 to 4.3. On to Najib's threat to sue the Wall Street Journal. His lawyers say the Prime Minister won't be filing a defamation suit against the Daily in the United States. That's because he's not well known there and damages won't be as high as he'd like. Najib's lawyers say he not only wants to vindicate himself, he wants the court to award damages for injuring his reputation.
It's all governed by the conflict of law rules under private international law. Defamation is you sue where your reputation is the greatest, where it's affected the most. We don't sue in a country where it's not affected as much.
In July, the WSJ reported that 2.6 billion ringgit have flowed into Najib's personal bank accounts through entities linked to 1MDB. The Prime Minister has not accounted for the money, although he has denied taking the funds for personal use. Meanwhile, lead counsel Datuk Muhammad Hafarizam Harun dismissed talk that his client was finding excuses not to sue the WSJ. He says he's just waiting for clarification on the source of the 2.6 billion ringgit from the publisher's lawyers.
So that's why I'm waiting for their clear answer. Then I will decide whether we are going to file, of course here, and not definitely not US. It's not about delaying. It's about doing it right for the first time. because I don't want the suit suddenly to be knock off on technicalities, and then the main issue is being sidetracked. It is no longer about Wall Street Journal, but our inability and inefficiency that the suit is dismissed.
Najib instructed his legal team to sue the WSJ in August after the MACC said the funds were a political donation from the Middle East. KTMB is going to raise its fares for the first time in 12 years. The rail operator is hiking its ticket prices by 36% or 4 cents for each kilometre travelled. But that doesn't mean it's going to be making money. KTMB says every passenger kilometre costs 20 cents. With the hike, the new fares will only help it cover 15 cents per kilometre. It plans to apply for Putrajaya's help to cover the remaining 5 cents per km. Only the Klang Valley routes will be affected by the increase. Students, children, the disabled and senior citizens will still get their discount. The new fares will help cover KTMB's operational and maintenance costs. Spare parts have gotten more expensive due to the weaker ringgit, while the power tariff hikes over the years have also made an impact. Meanwhile, fare structures for LRT, MRT and Monorail services will also be revised, although it doesn't spell an increase for all routes.
We are not raising the fares. We are
Rationalism.
normalizing and rationalizing the fares.
Dia depend on the pattern lah. Kalau lagi banyak driver banyak.
So if you say increase the fare, start focusing on that the third one third of the group, right? So it's about streamlining the fares, and that while doing so, we are encouraging the public to opt for the Smart 7 subsidy product.
The new distance-based fare structure will also take effect on December 2nd. And that wraps up our evening highlights. I'm Sharon Tang. Thanks for watching.